Our next speaker, as Carla mentioned, has come from Carolyn Mahoney's office because she was called away today. And Chris Gorud is the legislative assistant to Representative Carol Mahoney, where he works for the Congresswoman on H.R. 1941, the Supporting Working Moms Act, and a range of domestic and economic policy issues. Chris has worked in Representative Mahoney's office since 2011 and is a native of Oakland, California. Chris?
Well, thanks, Dr. Leshniak and Ruth, and for the Kellogg Foundation for putting this together. It's just looking through the agenda, like you said, it's going to be a great couple of days, and I really appreciate you guys' enthusiasm and support behind this issue that's really animated my boss's work in Congress for quite some time. As Ruth mentioned, unfortunately, because of the congressional recess, Congresswoman Maloney could not be here today, but she sends her regrets, and I know she appreciates your interest in this important topic. As some of you may know, especially those of you from New York, Representative Maloney has been at the center of a long effort to expand awareness and protections for nursing mothers, and this 6th annual summit here in Washington is an important part of that effort. As we have already heard and will continue to hear today, the facts are in, and it's clear that for most infants, breastfeeding is a healthier choice. The 2011 Surgeon General's call to action underscored that breastfed infants are less likely to develop asthma or obesity and are protected from ear infections, pneumonia, diabetes, and other illnesses. Yet even though the Surgeon General and doctors have been highlighting these benefits for years, many mothers still face significant obstacles to breastfeeding, and Congresswoman Maloney has been working for much of her career in Washington and in New York to reduce or eliminate these barriers. As the first woman to give birth while serving on the New York City Council, Representative Maloney gained a firsthand perspective of the difficulties new mothers face in the workplace, and throughout her career, she has championed policies to make the workplace more family-friendly. And since 1998, breastfeeding has been an important plank on this agenda. That year, the Congresswoman first introduced comprehensive legislation to ensure the right to breastfeed for women across the country. Too often, she and our staff in our office heard from women who had been harassed or threatened for nursing at work or in public places. One woman was thrown out of a national park, another ejected from the National Gallery of Art here in Washington, D.C., and a third kicked off a subway train in New York, all for breastfeeding or pumping breast milk. Our office heard from women across the country who were forced to sit in their car on a lunch break or to pump breast milk, or were harassed by their employees while they were trying to lactate. Since then, we've made some real progress. In 1998, Representative Maloney included language to allow state WIC agencies to purchase or rent breast pumps for new mothers, making it easier for low-income moms to choose to breastfeed. And then in 1999, she passed the right to breastfeed on federal property as part of an appropriations bill, and by now, 48 states have state laws affirming the right to breastfeed in public and in public places. This progress was important, but as statistics show, far too many mothers still face difficulty every day trying to breastfeed. With 2/3 of new mothers returning to the workforce within 6 months of giving birth, Congresswoman Maloney zeroed in on updating workplace policies to help nursing mothers. Some companies had already recognized the benefits and taken action on their own, but breastfeeding saves money in medical costs, and keeping infants healthy means that new parents miss less time caring for their sick kids. As we saw in the video, it said workplace policy that helps employers retain workers and rather having to hire and train costly new employees. However, Congresswoman Maloney kept pushing to protect these rights and encourage more employers to accommodate nursing mothers, and not by directing them across the street to their car or to dirty bathrooms. It took another 10 years, but along with Senator Jeff Merkley from Oregon, she kept after it. And in 2009, as Dr. Leshniak pointed out, they successfully included a new provision in the Affordable Care Act that designates breastfeeding as a named workplace protection under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Because of this protection, new mothers have a leg to stand on when they ask for reasonable accommodations to pump breast milk at work, and the hope is that we'll see more and more mothers continue to breastfeed after they return to work. Congresswoman Maloney is far from done, and as we'll hear today, increasing the rate of breastfeeding will take constant effort to educate new mothers about the health and cost benefits of breastfeeding. We also need to be sure that workplaces continue to update their policies so that no mom feels that work gets in the way of her choice to breastfeed. Currently, in addition to working with organizations such as those represented here today that educate new moms about the benefits of breastfeeding, Representative Maloney is again working with Senator Merkley to expand those workplace protections. The Nursing Mothers Protection in the Affordable Care Act, while important, does not cover many Americans who work in historically white-collar professions. The Congresswoman is hoping to change that and again has legislation that was mentioned in the introduction that would make sure that all working women are provided reasonable time and accommodation to pump breast milk while at work. While the last victory took 10 years, hopefully this initiative can come to fruition sooner and we can keep encouraging more women to breastfeed. So we can get to questions, but thank you so much for holding the summit and for your participation here today and for your constant effort to expand awareness and participation in breastfeeding across the country.